Hey everyone, this is Chris and Sandy with the Chris and Sandy Show, where we get up close and personal with some amazing guests throughout the entertainment industry. And today, like I said in every episode, we got a great one for you. Who do we have?
Have Zoee with us today. She's a pop country singer-songwriter originally from Australia. Since moving to Nashville in 2022, Zoe is currently collaborating with Grammy-nominated and win songwriters, and her latest release is called It Ain't Love.
And we're excited to talk to her about that and more, and
Yes,
we'll see where this goes.
more.
Welcome to the show.
Welcome.
Thank you guys so much for having me. It's an absolute pleasure to be here. How are you?
It's our pleasure. Now, I always like to kind of start the show out the same way. Last few years have been rough for a lot of people, especially entertainment. So how has all this pandemic stuff affected you? And what have you kind of done to maneuver through this new maze we had for a while?
You know what? Before the pandemic happened, I was touring through the UK. I was living in the UK at the time with my band, who happened to be my family. And we were touring over through there and through Europe. And, things were starting to kind of move pretty well for us. Was lined up to play C2C and all these great festivals. And we had a great tour. We was coming back to Nashville. We just finished playing CMA Fest, the year before. And then COVID hit, and it was like, oh my gosh, now what do we do? Everything stopped. And so it was kind of like, for the first, I think everybody went through that, sort of panic of what do we do now? After I got through that stage, I kind of went into, how can I benefit from this? What can I do to help, keep the career moving forward and, while also being locked away? So I started co-writing online with, I felt like Rapunzel, locked in a house there for a minute. So I started co-writing with all these amazing writers in Nashville that, you wouldn't have been connected to had the pandemic never hit. And the reason being is everybody was in the same situation, and everybody then started doing these online songwrites, and it was the only way forward. And prior to that, many people didn't want to write online because that face-to-face thing is just incredible. So it opened up a lot of doors for me having had the pandemic just for that reason alone. And I got to meet some amazing writers. Some of the writers on this new stuff that I'm working with are some of them people, and I'm sure we'll get into that in a little bit. But it was just like, try and take the opportunity and write some really great songs, and then kind of build for when everything hopefully opened up again, which it seems to be at this point kind of on the edge of coming back, which I'm kind of excited about.
That's like for us, we launched the show January of 2020, so a couple months before everything happened. And our original plan was maybe 100 interviews that first year. We thought if we could do that, be a great foundation. And then everything gets shut down. And as I'm watching, I'm like, this could be a blessing in disguise for a show like ours, a brand new show. People who normally wouldn't come on a new show might be willing to come on a new show. And because of that, we've been able to build our foundation. And we're almost 600 interviews now.
Yes.
Whoa, congratulations. That's a huge catalog.
We would have never imagined any of this because, again, the plan was 100 interviews first year and probably keep it about that. We had no idea that 3 years, that 2.5 years later would be almost 600 interviews.
Wow, that is so amazing. Congratulations to you guys. Really, really good effort. That's not easy to put together.
So, a lot of people would ask, when did you know you wanted to do music? I always like to go deeper than that. When did it click for you, for Zoee, that this could be my career move?
That's such a tough one because I was only saying this the other day to somebody, actually. I grew up out in the middle of Australia, right out in the deep south part of Tasmania, actually. And my parents had this huge collection of music. They had a 20-foot shipping container filled with records, from cassettes and records, just everything you can think of, from like Mel Haggard to AC/DC to just everything. And so there was this beautiful array of sounds in the house, from mum listening to, like Jimmy Barnes and AC/DC, to dad playing like Mel Haggard and Creedence Clearwater, and this beautiful, like, whoa. And I was always a big fan of Rod Stewart myself, so there was another sound, and all these other different influences. So from a very young age, music was a big part of my life. And of course, where we lived down there, it was extremely isolated. So we didn't have TV. We didn't have
Wow.
mobile phones. My brothers and I were homeschooled, and because it was so far away. And so music was a huge part of my life. And I would always, you know, my dad would play guitar, and he'd always have a guitar around the house. And for a long time, I was like, I'm no good at that. And then one day I just picked up the guitar and just started. I was like, okay, it just clicked. Suddenly I was just like really interested in making music, and I discovered I had a voice. And I was about 12 when that happened, really, when I picked up the guitar. So it was a little later than some people, but it kind of just progressed from there. And I ended up finding myself with the family out in Nashville. I played my first ever show out at a little venue called Bobby's Idle Hour. You probably know about that little place. It was the original location before they moved, and so there was, you remember, there was money all along the walls, and the floors were sticky. And it was for the first time ever to play my first ever proper show. And I walked in and I'm like, oh man, I've just walked into a Chris Christopherson song. This is I'm so this is my life now. I want to do this. Wow. You know? So I think that was really the moment. So nervous, and I must have looked really awkward, but it was just the most amazing, and that was when it really clicked for me. So
now, since you're living in Nashville, now what's the difference between Australia and Nashville that you've seen?
Oh goodness, you know what? I think the wonderful thing about Nashville that you can't really have in Australia is just the density of people that are so creative here. You know, it's a town just filled with people who want to create and support what you're doing, and just go, you know what, you're doing it, let's just get in, we'll do a song together. You know, we come over to my studio and come and, you know, we'll record something. And that kind of atmosphere does happen in Australia, but there's just such a lesser population. I mean, we've got 26 million in all of Australia, and America's got what, like how many million? 200, 300 million people. So just the density of that.
And Nashville's at 2 million now.
Is it really?
Yeah.
The last report I've seen was like 2 million. I mean, I've seen several things that say there are over 2 million population in the metro area.
That is amazing. I heard before the pandemic hit that there was over 100 people moving here every day, which is,
I think that's already gotten back to that. You know,
oh, has it? Wow. That didn't take long, did it? Wow.
No.
So, you know, in that sense, that's a very big factor. You just feel like you can be extremely creative here because there's so many people here that are creative in that sense. But, you know, Australia is also very, very country orientated as well. You know, we're very much alike. America and Australia musically have got very similar kind of, you know, background. We're both, you know, kind of from the British kind of area. You know, we all got sent over, and you know, we're all kind of expats in that sense as well. So the music, I think, kind of resonates on both sides in that sense. But I don't know, I'm just grateful to be here, and everybody's been super welcoming. So it's lovely.
Now next Thursday, we're actually going to be in Nashville for 4 nights.
We are.
Really? What are you doing? Are you just here for some shows?
Well, we always come up there to enjoy the area. We come up 4 times a year,
family,
and we come up with our 2 kids. And you know, we try to do what we can do for shows, but you know, when you got a 10-year-old and a 3-year-old, it's a little different. So, but what we've loved is that
10-year-old would be fine. The 3-year-old,
but a lot of places do have where you can bring kids in the daytime. So we love that on Broadway.
We do love that.
That's amazing. I'm so excited for you. Have you got any shows in mind that you're planning to see while you're here?
Well, we'll see.
There's nothing. We'll see what's there as we're going. Yeah, you know, we like to plan just a little bit out, but leave everything up spontaneous.
Yeah,
we don't. I don't like to have
experiences.
I've done trips where they're fully planned out and then they're boring.
Right. You know, it's so weird that you say that, because my mother, she used to love to plan these trips for us, and she did plan these trips for our whole family. Coming to America a couple of times, and she would plan everything out, but the rest of us in the family had no idea what we were doing. So she would present us every morning we were away on the trip with an itinerary of all the things we were to do that day. And some of them were like, today you're going to be driving around in a NASCAR down in Charlotte Speedway. You know, tomorrow you're going to be out horseback riding through the Hollywood Hills. all these crazy
Awesome.
adventures that she put together for us. And we had no idea till the day of. So there was always this constant, like, is it going to be, is it going to be crazy? Or are we going to, she made us walk all through San Francisco one day. Man,
Wow.
Oh, wow.
I bet that was worn out.
Oh, yes, with the hills
Oh.
there. Yeah.
Because that's what, when we go on trips, we like to plan.
No, I can do this. Right. Anyway.
Yeah, because
But
when we
great
go on
memories,
trips, we
and that's
plan
the
the half
beautiful
of
thing
it.
of it is you don't plan it. Right.
Mhm.
Yeah. Sorry, go on. There's a slight delay.
Yeah, I've noticed that.
Yeah, there's a small delay. Yeah,
But you know what? That if it weren't for issues, it wouldn't be tech, right?
Yeah,
Right.
it's true.
That's so true. Yeah, you know what? It's reminding me of all my beautiful songwrites on Zoom that I did in the pandemic, and there was this beautiful delay with that. So you're sitting there strumming a song, and you're like waiting for their reaction, and you're like, oh. Then they're trying to say something back, and it was really. I missed that side of it. It's nice to be face to face
so
again.
many that it don't always delay. Most shows don't delay, but every now and then it's delayed. And so we've learned to kind of try to pause and roll with it.
I know what you mean. Yeah, exactly. I get it. Oh, that's great.
Now, as you know, a lot of people, they see the glory in what you do, but they don't see the grind, the sacrifice, the tears, the struggles it takes to get to any level within entertainment. And I always want to talk about that side of it because I think it's kind of glossed over. So let's take a moment and just talk about some of the sacrifices you've had to make to get to where you are today.
That's really nice that you actually you consider that, even because there is a lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes that nobody wants to even hear about because you haven't made it yet. So it doesn't have any validation at that point, So for myself and my family, as I mentioned, the family are in the band as well. So they're like, my dad's my lead guitarist, and my two brothers are in the band. One's my drummer, acoustic guitarist, and the other one's my keyboard player. And my mum's like helps me organize everything. So, but I mean, it's a beautiful thing having your family with you all the time, but it also, we had to leave our family back in Australia too. And when the pandemic hit, we couldn't go back. We couldn't see anybody. I remember when we first moved to the UK too, we had this house that we'd rented online, and it turned out that when we got to the house was not what it was advertised like, and we got ripped off really badly. And so a lot of our savings that we'd had kind of went, and there was really no place else to live at the time. So we ended up living in our car for the first 3 months of being in the UK getting started. So there's all these different things that nobody talks about, because it is like that. We want you just to be that shiny figure, but there is a lot of steps to get there, and it's certainly been a lot of sacrifice from myself and my family, who have helped me pursue this dream of mine. And it's nice that you just kind of ask about that. So there certainly has been a lot of rejection. Right, exactly. Yeah. And one of the other big things, is not getting to see the rest of your family back in Australia and stuff, just because, you're out here. And it was just last week, my grandfather just passed away. So, and I hadn't been able to go back or see him. And thank you. But yeah, it's like those sorts of sacrifices as well that you just can't really work around. That just comes with it. And it's like, sometimes it gets you down. Some days are, harder than others, but you just keep going, and the music carries you through, So I'm grateful for that side of it, but it's also extremely, difficult some other days. But you push through as much as you can.
When we first launched this show, that was my whole purpose part of the purpose of this show is I wanted to talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly of the industry, because I think that it's important that people understand before they step that foot in what they're up against.
Yeah.
That's a really good point. It's like the weird thing about this industry, and as you'll know, there is no real formula for how this unfolds for everybody. Everyone's story is so different. But I think what unites us all is we do all eventually go through some form of hardship to get there, you know, and there's a lot of work and a lot of late nights and a lot of early mornings, and, you know, it makes for great songs. Exactly. So it all one hand washes the other. Yeah. So, you know,
it's like, okay, life, bring it in so that I can have a song.
Exactly. We've certainly got some interesting songs on the front, I'll tell you. There's some good stuff coming. I'm excited.
So we talked a little bit about the struggle side.
Gravity and time equals a good bit of humor, so that's all we can hope for. Maybe
exactly. So we talked a little bit about the struggle side. Let's now flip the script and go the other way. What are a few moments that are wow moments for you?
Oh my, getting asked to play CMA Fest was pretty amazing because it's CMA Fest of all things, and we got to play down there at the fanfare, and getting to be surrounded with so many amazing people. That was a huge highlight. Then also, I'm in a current highlight right now where it's like I've got all these amazing people that want to work with me, and Grammy nominated singer-songwriters and producers and artists and musicians, and I'm like, how is this happening? How am I now living in Nashville? How did that, I know the journey, but it's also this amazing thing of like, wow, it's here. This is weird and it's surreal. So there's that beautiful highlight moment that I'm actually currently in the middle of right now. So it's pretty,
tell us about
exciting stuff. So the new song, it's called "It Ain't Love If It Doesn't Hurt," and it's kind of it was written in Nashville and produced in Nashville, and it's kind of like that. You break up with somebody, and you're kind of like,
oh yeah,
you sort of think you're over it, and then it's sort of like 2 a.m. You've got this daunting thought of them. They're just kind of creeping back into your conscience, and you're like, God damn it, they're back. They never left. And it's that story of how love can be painful and it has its highs and lows, and it's at the end of the day, it's still something magical and beautiful. So it was written with myself and singer-songwriter producer James House, who wrote A Broken Wing for Martina McBride and Ain't That Lonely Yet for Dwight Yoakam, and co-produced with him and I as well. So, that's what I'm saying. It's like some of these people that I've been able to work with has been amazing. So and then, it was recorded here in Nashville and produced here as well. And it's like phenomenal. Some of the people that are playing on it, I've got Kenny Greenberg up there on guitar. And if you know Kenny, he's just played absolutely everything for everybody. Wow. It's amazing. Mm-hmm. Mike Brignatello out on bass. Of course, I'm doing the vocals because that's important. Anyway, so it's been a pretty magical journey, and to finally have it out is nice because I haven't put any music out for since the beginning of the pandemic, really. So I was a bit nervous to put something out after so long of not having put nothing out, and I went, I hope the fans are going to like it, and seems to be that they're enjoying it, which is good. So I'm grateful. The other side of it too, over the Christmas, I don't know if I put it out there much, but I got hacked, so I lost my Instagram and my Facebook. So I had verified page, everything, and I lost everybody. So I've been trying to rebuild traction since all that as well. So it was another reason why I was a little bit nervous about putting something out too.
And it's tougher to build from scratch now than it was to build a couple years ago. I
think so. Yeah, I do. I have felt it's been pretty tough. But we're getting there, it's sort of like getting people just to share things and put the word out as much as I can. And it's like one hand just washes the other as much as possible. So it's getting there. Slowly,
now, as you know, all this, it takes a team to build the village.
It does.
And teams never get the love they deserve. But on our show, they get some love.
They
so
do.
Take a few moments and just tell us about the team that helps you be who you are.
I love that you do that. I'm coming back to the family again because they're the reason I'm able to do all of this. They have been so supportive. They have, worked through the pandemic to support the music while it wasn't able to make any money. All sorts of different things that they've done to keep it going and to keep me being able to pursue the dream. So for any kind of thanks, it goes straight to them. For all the hard work that they've done, and obviously the people that I'm working with just now, like James House and all these other great writers that I'm in the middle of writing with too and working with. So big thanks to all of them, and just really everybody who's kind of like bought a single or a song or any kind of merchandise, because that's the reason we do it. That's the reason it all takes place and happens. So without everybody doing that, I wouldn't be doing it anyway. So big thanks to the fans and for everybody doing it. And Cliff, of course, I love Cliff. He's great. He organized
he's my buddy.
He's awesome. Oh yeah, great.
Yeah, most times we come to Nashville, we try to meet with him over coffee. We do.
I love that. We're yet to actually get a coffee. I was only saying it to him today. I was like, we've got to get a coffee. Pandemic stuff. See, we just haven't had a chance to get together in person. And since I've been here, it's just been so go. Mm-hmm. Exactly. Aw, that's so nice. Hi, Cliff. Aw. This is great. We can tune in. I'm excited. I didn't realize. Cool.
Yeah. So
we're going to
speaking of teams, speaking of teams, we have a third co-host, our little 10-year-old that we bring on to ask 3 questions. So Sandy's going to go get him.
Yes.
And all that. And he loves to do this.
That is so good. What's his name? Christopher?
His name's Christopher.
Oh, that's so sweet. I love that.
So while we're waiting on him, what's kind of next for you?
So I've been in the middle of putting together a new music video, which has been just joyful. I love doing my own video editing, but I'm teaching myself how to color grade at the moment, and I'm surprised any of my hair's in place still because I've been pulling on it a little bit lately, trying to figure out this whole, for anyone who knows what color grading is like, it's a bit of a hair pulling thing. But we're getting there with it. So a new music video on the front very soon, and then more singles to follow, all in the lead up to a brand new EP that is coming out there next year. So it's going to be fairly fluid, just kind of getting back into the swing of releasing music and putting out some of this stuff that I've been working on with all these great writers since the pandemic. So yeah, that's kind of the swing and the plan at the moment.
So what's Nashville been like for you since you moved there?
Oh my goodness, fantastic. As a word, fantastic. The weather's been pretty kind of warm. I must admit, I'm not used to having lived in England and Scotland for so long. I'm sort of like, summertime? What's the sun look like again? There it is. It's kind of nice. But yeah, no, it's been lovely to be here. And as I said, people have just been so supportive, and it's a beautiful thing. And I love that about the South too. There's this warmth and this hospitality that I've never really seen anywhere else. And I've done quite a bit of traveling, and I'm only young, but I have done quite a bit of traveling, and I've never really seen that kind of warmth really in many other places. So just being around that as well, and obviously the music, and it's just, I'm grateful, so grateful.
Right. Hi, Zoe.
Hi. Oh gosh, my favorite food. Goodness. You know what? This is the worst question for me, because I'm the person you take to an all-you-can-eat banquet, and I come back with like 4 or 5 heaped plates like this and everything, because I'm just like a foodie. That is such a good question. Right now I'm really digging smoked salmon. I've been like fanging out on smoked salmon all the time. Oh, go on. What is yours?
Oh, mine's pizza.
Oh, I love pizza. That's great.
Eat it all day long.
Particular kind of pizza?
Mm-hmm.
What kind?
Oh, what kind? Oh, pepperoni sauce and supreme and pineapple.
He's got like 4 faves.
Oh no, not pineapple. Why do people put fruit on pizza? No. I like supreme, but why pineapple? I never understood. Can you explain to me why they put pineapple on pizza? I need to know. I have to. Nobody's been able to explain it to me.
Tastes fine to me. And he loves it.
Oh, I love it. That's one of the other things I love about being now in the South is the food is amazing. I had my first Chick-fil-A. Oh goodness, don't even talk to me about Chick-fil-A.
We love Chick-fil-A.
The food here is incredible. I'm grateful. Yeah.
All right.
So what's your TV show?
Oh gosh, favorite TV show. I binged on The Newsroom for the longest time. When I finished it, I restarted it again. I loved that show. What else is there? There's another one I was watching the other week. Oh goodness, I don't get a lot of time to watch much TV, but when I do, I like to sort of find something that's really good. And I just love Aaron Sorkin's writing in The Newsroom. It's just so quickly paced and fast and really, really good. The other one I was watching just the other week too was The Time Traveler's Wife, and that was pretty good. But yeah, probably one of those right now.
What's yours?
Mine is SpongeBob.
What is yours? Oh, I love SpongeBob. He's great.
Mhm.
Who's your favorite character on SpongeBob?
Favorite your SpongeBob Patrick.
I was just gonna say mine's Patrick. I love Patrick. He's great. Oh, he's the best. He's the best.
Okay, yes. So
I
what's
love
favorite
that.
movie?
Have you got a favorite movie? Oh,
Huh?
we're on the same page. All right, I'm going to say something I think you're going to love, Christopher. My favorite movie is kind of there's three, so I'm gonna roll it off. Indiana Jones, Back to the Future, and Lion King. I absolutely love those three. They're just
Because what's yours?
Mine is the Minions.
Lion King. You heard the music? Which one's yours?
Minions.
Oh, they're great. Did they just bring a new movie out recently?
Yep.
Yeah.
And we saw it.
We saw it.
It's the Minions
Is it good?
too.
I haven't seen it yet.
Oh, it's really good.
Oh, it's really good. It goes back to Gru's when he was a childhood on what got him to where the other ones are.
I'm gonna have to catch up on all of that because I haven't seen all of the first one either, so I'm a little behind on that one.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
he's
have
seen
to
all the
catch it up.
Despicable Me's and
Awesome.
Minions and all that.
Mhm.
I liked Despicable Me. That was really good. Yeah,
Yeah.
real good.
Yeah.
That's
All right.
awesome.
Bye. Yeah. Bye.
That's
Thanks.
awesome. Thank you so much. It was so nice to meet you. See ya.
Yeah, he
Oh,
loves to be on the show. He's been on probably 98% of the shows we've had.
Really? Thank you for having him on. Thank you so much for being here and asking me some great questions. That was
He
awesome.
loves
Love
it.
it.
So if you could co-write with any
nice.
artist, who would it be?
Oh gosh, brain's just gone into like a full list of people. Oh, Bob Dylan, Loretta Lynn, Bruce Springsteen. Gosh, like there is so many. But you know what? Some of the writers that I'm writing with are already on that list of people.
Oh wow!
James
Oh,
being
wow.
one of them. Steve Dorff being another one. Jamie Floyd being another one. You know, Kyle Jacobs, some incredible Jeff Cohen, some incredible writers I'm already working with, and it's like again, pitch me. This is surreal. How is this happening? So yeah, but for sure, a few of those other ones I just mentioned as well. Because
So what's a song you've heard that you wish you wrote?
Oh, you know. That's a tough one. One of my all-time favorite songs is Forever Young. It was originally written by Bob Dylan, but Rod Stewart did a version of it.
Oh, wow.
And that song, you know that song. There was always something that pulled me in about that song. And there's just this beautiful, peaceful kind of, you know, may the good Lord be with you, whatever road you roam. And there's just a beautiful kind of warmth that it gives of this just kind of like happiness towards the listener. And if I probably could mention any song, it'd probably be that one. There's this warmth to it. I can't explain. So if I had more time to think on that, I'd probably find a whole list of others, but that one's the first one that comes to mind right at this moment. But yeah.
So what,
yeah.
you know, back in
Great
2015,
question,
we got the interview. Back in 2015, we got to interview Kelsey Ballerini before she was Kelsey.
Yes.
And I always like to tell the story as I'm asking the same question that we asked her. One of the questions was, where are you going to be in 5 years? I tell this story because the answer she gave was exactly this life she is living right now. She knew where she was going. Nobody was going to stop her. So knowing that, where do you want to be in 5 years?
Conquering the world. No kidding. No, pretty much like pretty much. That's pretty much as I can do, build an amazing audience that's going to just grow with me, writing the best songs I can be writing and playing great, really big shows. That's kind of the short of it. But yeah, as much as I can be doing. Yeah.
Exactly. So let's look 15 years down the road and let's say you're a success on a grand scale. Whatever that looks like for you, you have made it. What do you hope along that journey you never forget?
I think the values that I got given as a kid are always going to be with me. And it's always to be humble and to be grateful and to try and live in the moment and take every day as each day. Because we've only really ever got each day. Yesterday's already gone and tomorrow's just kind of in our heads. Today in this very moment is all we have. So to be just grateful for every single opportunity and the people around me, and keep putting out good energy for people, because I like making people feel good and bringing a smile to people's faces. And that's why I love doing music. So if I can still be doing that in 5, 10 or 15 years time and inspiring other people, then I'll be a happy girl.
What are some sources of inspiration for you?
Everything. That's the weird thing is I just listen to so much stuff. My older brother, he was listening to Eminem as a kid, so I got some of that sort of side of it. I've got mum and dad with their sounds, so Merle Haggard, Loretta Lynn, Dolly Parton, AC/DC, Springsteen, so many influences. Obviously Rod Stewart. I'm a huge Rod Stewart fan. Funny little story, actually, a little detour story. When I was a little kid, I used to steal my parents' cassette tapes of Rod Stewart, and I would put it in my Walkman with my little headphones on, and I would fall asleep listening to Rod Stewart every night. That was my lullaby music from like 4 onwards. And that kind of there's this huge influence behind the back of what I'm doing, and I guess that kind of leaks through in the music that I make in a lot of different ways too. But as you just mentioned, right now is Kelsey Ballerini. I mean, she's fantastic, and Taylor Swift and all these other amazing musicians and writers out there. Kip Moore, he's another fantastic writer artist out there at the moment. Ashley McBride, if you're looking about now, but then my ear goes right back into the 60s, 70s, 80s as well. So this it's just this huge sound of influence there, which I'm grateful for. Super grateful for.
What would you like for your legacy to be in music? What would you like to be known and remembered for?
Being a kind person, just being fun and kind and making great music.
Awesome.
I'll be really, really happy.
Yes. And if you could say anything to your fans and followers, what would you want to tell them?
Stay tuned because we got so much more on the front. Thank you for sticking with me and for following along as I've kind of progressed through the journey so far. And I'm excited for where it's going next. And I can't say too much, but pretty excited for what's coming up. So just stay tuned. Yeah.
Awesome.
So as we close out, what advice would you give that person that wants to do what you do?
It's not as easy as you're going to think it is at the very get. I thought it was going to be a lot easier than I realized. There's a lot more work involved. Yeah. But so be prepared for that. Be ready for a lot of no's. Be ready for a lot of people, kind of either wanting to walk on top of you or just kind of make you all feel obsolete. And at the end of the day, you just have to hang on to that music and what you started it for. I think that's the most important advice I'd give somebody, is that the music will always just keep you grounded and carry you through. So believe in that and believe in the power of where that can take you. I think that'd be my advice. Yeah.
Love that. So any parting words?
thank you so much for having me on the show and for Christopher's great questions. I loved meeting him. And for all the great recognition you guys have on this show. That's awesome. I mean, you've asked some questions I haven't been asked ever. So really nice to have been asked that, and to just to have been here with you guys and to have met you in person. And yeah, thank you.
We love that.
We appreciate
and, we
that.
really enjoyed having you on the show today. We definitely look forward to having you back down the road.
Mm-hmm.
Be lovely. Let's hopefully catch up in Nashville when you're back up this way. That'd be nice.
We'll do it.
We can do that.
Sounds good.
Sounds good.
Yeah, look forward to it.
That'd be great.